This past weekend, Hollywood director and outspoken Trump critic Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Reiner, were both brutally stabbed in their home, allegedly by their son, who is now in custody. Not even 24 hours had gone by before Trump posted on Truth Social, basically mocking Reiner and blaming him and his wife's murder on Reiner's criticism of Trump. When a reporter directly asked him about it, he doubled down.
A number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. You know, it was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself in career-wise. He became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
One thing I've heard for almost a decade since 2016 when Trump first got in office is that we as citizens should respect the office of the president no matter who is in office. Because just based on their position and the amount of responsibility that they are supposed to have on their shoulders and what the office means to the American society at large, we're just supposed to respect the office. But how can we as citizens ever be expected to respect the office of the presidency of the United States when the president himself doesn't even respect the basic sanctity of human life? And the crazy thing is, he didn't even have to comment on this at all. He's the president of the United States. You would think he has bigger fish to fry. You would think that the economy is going to crap, and with AI taking over the world, and he made sure to take time out of his day to dance on the grave of some random guy who criticized him. But honestly, this comes as no surprise. This was him a few months ago at Charlie Kirk's funeral.
He did not hate his opponents. He wanted the best for them. That's where I disagreed with Charlie. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry.
And with his Rob Reiner situation, we can see that he was not lying. And while there's a lot that can be said about how President Trump's behavior and rhetoric sets a model that influences the rest of society and culture, what you should understand is that his pattern of openly and brazenly hating his enemies has an actual impact. It normalizes and creates a permission structure for hate the exact same way that parents who curse around their toddlers create an environment where they can't be surprised when little Johnny starts dropping F-bombs. For instance, we can see how the prevalence of hate crimes hit an inflection point around 2015 when Trump first started running, and then it just kept increasing from there. And I'm not saying that he is to blame for all the hate and polarization that we see today, but what I am saying is that he is actively contributing to it, and he is not trying to do anything to slow down the spread. But beyond Trump, something more sadistic is happening in our society. There's a quote that you probably heard before from a famous Holocaust survivor and Nobel laureate named Elie Wiesel. And the quote goes, "The opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference." And indifference, specifically indifference to the cost and value of other human lives, is what I've started to see become so pervasive in our society. And we really need to talk about it. Let's go back to Charlie Kirk for a second. I want to analyze one of his controversial quotes that went viral, especially after he was assassinated.
Bill Clinton in the 1990s, it was all about empathy and sympathy. I can't stand the word empathy, actually. I think empathy is a made-up New Age term that does a lot of damage, but it is very effective when it comes to politics. Sympathy I prefer more than empathy. That's a separate topic for a different time.
So first, I want to define these two words. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. Sympathy is the feelings of pity and sorrow that you feel for another person's misfortune. So although Charlie Kirk and powerful people like Elon Musk have been waging this ideological war on the idea of empathy, empathy is a thing that allows us to see ourselves in other people, and therefore it's a thing that allows us to selfishly see the value in somebody else's life. When you can see somebody else hurting and you can almost feel their pain, that makes you want to help that person. That makes you want to be good and kind to other people and spread goodwill throughout your community. Sympathy, on the other hand, allows you to create an emotional distance between you and that other person in a way that allows you to avoid any emotional consequences of seeing another human in pain. For instance, if you walk past somebody who is living on the street and who is going hungry, you can have sympathy for that person and continue to walk right past them. You can pity them and still not care to intervene. But if you walk past that same person and you can empathize with them and you can see their humanity, you are much more likely to be a good Samaritan. Rejecting empathy allows you to see whole other groups of human lives as less than or worthless, and it allows you to speak about other humans in this way.
So, it's funny. I used to say that, hey, if you as a gay person would go to Gaza, they'd throw you off of tall buildings, right? Now they don't have any tall buildings left, so I don't.
When you mess with the bull, you get the horns.
Is that too soon? I'm sorry. Maybe you shouldn't kill Jews, stupid Muslims.
When you reject empathy, mass death is no longer a tragedy. It just becomes a punchline. Trump said that Kirk wanted the best for his enemies, but this clip shows how easy it is for somebody who rejects empathy to dehumanize other people. Trump also said this about Kirk.
Before each appearance, he prayed these words: God, use me for your will. Always said the same thing: use me for your will.
So my question is, does Charlie Kirk's God value some human lives over others? Does his God believe in the collective punishment of an entire people, of which almost half are made up of children under the age of 18? When Charlie tweeted that all life matters and that all life is worthy of protection, did that sentiment run out of steam as soon as it reached people that didn't believe what he believed? People that he couldn't see himself in? People that he didn't value, that he didn't like? As the white Christian nationalist movement grows in political visibility and influence, I think it's important to touch on this idea of America being founded on Judeo-Christian values and principles. The question is, what are those Judeo-Christian values and principles? And do prominent political figures and movements that espouse those values do so in good faith? Take a look at this recent news clip.
Miss Rachel was just crowned one of the most anti-Semitic people of 2025. And if you're like, wait, Miss Rachel, the one who wears overalls and sings educational songs for kids, that one? Yes, that one. Because a group called Stop Anti-Semitism just released the top 10 finalists for its Anti-Semite of the Year award. And Miss Rachel, well, she was among the contenders that people can vote for, right? While her primary content is for children, she has frequently used her social media platforms to speak up for kids around the world, especially in Gaza. And even though Miss Rachel has gotten a lot of criticism for this, she has repeatedly stood her ground and said that she would continue to try to help children there.
I just put myself in the parents' shoes, and every child in Gaza is somebody's world. There's a great quote from a Jewish text that every life is a universe. They are everything to us. I have very strong morals and values. Write articles, attack me. I know who I am, God knows who I am. I'm here to serve children, and I will not back down.
Right, and with that, it should be noted she's talked about kids from everywhere. Kids in Gaza, kids in Israel. And with caring for kids really just being her primary concern, she's constantly posted about how no child, no matter where they are, should worry about hunger, bombing, illness, or conflict.
First, I want to say that that is what empathy looks like. Did you catch how she said that she just puts herself in the parents' shoes? That is an example of what empathy can drive us to do, and that's why empathy is so important. Second, I hope you notice how the Jewish principle that she referenced lines up with her actual actions. That is an example of real Judeo-Christian values being held in good faith. And lastly, how backwards is it that this woman who dedicates her life to children is being branded as an anti-Semite, not for hating Jews, but because she refuses to treat Palestinian children as if they are disposable? But this weird, selective devaluing of human lives isn't just limited to one side of the political spectrum. Sticking with Palestinian children in Gaza, I want you to watch this video of Van Jones.
This is not about critical race theory on college campuses. This is about Iran. Iran and Qatar have come up with a disinformation campaign that they are running through TikTok and Instagram that is massive. If you are a young person, you open up your phone and all you see is dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby, right. Diddy, dead Gaza baby, dead Gaza baby. Like, that's basically your whole feed. That's not DEI. That is a geopolitical adversary that is deliberately trying to divide the West against itself.
So his argument is that Iran and Qatar are waging a disinformation campaign against Israel using real footage and images of real dead children. So to Van Jones, not only is the issue not that there is a genocide happening to the Palestinian people, or that there are thousands upon thousands of innocent children being killed, but instead, the issue is that people are being confronted with that reality. He is so easily able to minimize the value of these real human lives as a punchline, just like Charlie Kirk did.
Stupid Muslims.
Whether it's Charlie Kirk's malice or Van Jones's dismissal, the result is the same. It leads to the dehumanization of an entire people. And this can't be overstated. This type of mentality of dehumanization and devaluing other humans' lives has led us to the same type of place over and over again in history. We've seen this before. The Holocaust didn't start with gas chambers. It started with the same mechanisms that we are seeing right now. Mechanisms like social permission, where leaders mock the dead and normalize violence, bureaucratic normalization, where we turn human suffering into policy debates, and then information control, where we try to hide the realities of violence. And to show you an example of information control, I want to show you what it looks like when we take Van Jones's argument to its logical conclusion.
If like all day long your brain is just smashed again and again by TikTok with really upsetting carnage in Gaza, then like you're talking and like I'm sorry if this is a graphic thing to say, but like when I'm trying to make arguments in favor, for Israel, I realize I'm talking through a wall of dead children. Like that's what people are seeing. So when I'm like, yeah, but it's 1.5 civilians they're just seeing carnage.
But
right?
that's
like,
the emotional blackmail.
I mean, fair enough, but like again, I mean that's nice, but like again, I'm hearing that through a wall of screaming children. It's like I think it's a harder argument than we're understanding. So I actually really strongly think that like Jewish day schools should absolutely say no child owns a smartphone until senior year. They don't own one at all. Period. We give it to them senior year and we teach them. Like this whole not during the day, great, nice start. No smartphone at all until senior year.
So that was Sarah Hurwitz. And she was a speechwriter for President Barack Obama for a couple years before she became the chief speechwriter for Michelle Obama. And if you notice, she literally admits that the carnage is real. She concedes that there are indeed dead Gaza babies. That's not something that she's taking issue with. Her issue is that people are able to see raw footage of what's actually being done, and that is going to impact people emotionally and shape their worldviews. And her solution to that problem is to disconnect young Jewish kids from social media until they become seniors in high school. Who cares about the dying children, right? Advocating on behalf of human life in order to stop the carnage that she so clearly acknowledges is just not one of her top priorities. She even argues that Holocaust education is failing essentially because kids are empathizing with the wrong victims.
I think, unfortunately, the very smart, bet that we made on Holocaust education to serve as anti-Semitism education, in this new media environment, I think that is beginning to break down a little bit. Because, Holocaust education is absolutely essential. But I think it may be confusing some of our young people about anti-Semitism because they learn about big, strong Nazis hurting weak, emaciated Jews. And they think, oh, anti-Semitism is like anti-black racism, right? Powerful white people against powerless black people. So when on TikTok all day long they see powerful Israelis hurting weak, skinny Palestinians, it's not surprising that they think, oh, I know, the lesson of the Holocaust is you fight Israel. You fight the big, powerful people hurting the weak people.
This lack of concern for other humans' lives is pervasive. It's not just related to Gaza. It's showing up everywhere. Here's an example of Megyn Kelly, a former Fox News host and conservative podcaster, reacting to the news that our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, essentially committed war crimes by ordering a second strike on a Venezuelan boat after sailors were able to survive the first strike.
I really do kind of not only want to see them killed in the water, whether they're on the boat or in the water, but I'd really like to see them suffer. I would like Trump and Hegseth to make it last a long time so that they lose a limb and bleed out a little. Like, I'm really having a difficult time ginning up sympathy for these guys who 10 seconds earlier almost got taken out by the initial bomb, but because they managed to get ejected, a little too soon, had to be taken out in the water. I realize legally it may make a difference, but truly, Mark, this is a tough case to really gin up the sympathies of the American people.
Yeah. Again, that's Megyn Kelly, a huge conservative Christian culture warrior fantasizing about human beings bleeding out in the water. If your values lead you to crave torture and slow death, then those are not religious values. There is nothing Christian about wanting another human being to lose a limb and suffer. What I hope you notice is that everybody I discussed in this video thus far espouses Judeo-Christian values. Therefore, I want to end this video by showing you what real values look like, Judeo-Christian or otherwise. Here is Rob Reiner, the director we talked about at the beginning of the video, reacting to Charlie Kirk's assassination back in September.
When you first heard about the murder of Charlie Kirk, what was your immediate gut reaction to it?
Well, horror, absolute horror. And I unfortunately saw the video of it, and it's beyond belief what happened to him, and that should never happen to anybody. I don't care what your political beliefs are. That's not acceptable. That's not a solution to solving problems. And I felt like what his wife said at the service, that the memorial they had, was exactly right. And totally, I believe. I'm Jewish, but I believe in the teachings of Jesus, and I believe in doing to others, and I believe in forgiveness. And what she said to me was beautiful and absolutely, she forgave his assassin, and I think that is admirable.
This is what having real values looks like. This is what valuing human life looks like. It looks like this.
To allow this to happen to children and civilians of all ages in Gaza, for whatever reason, is unconscionable and unthinkable. And I ask you Jews everywhere all over the world to spend some time alone and think, is this acceptable and sustainable? How could it be done to you and your ancestors, and you turn around and you do it to someone else?
Hi, my name is Cameron, and I'm getting my PhD in biomedical engineering, but I make civic education content on the side just to try to keep normal, everyday people updated and informed about things that are going on in the world. If you like this video, I would love if you would give it a like or share, and if you want to follow me for more content, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your support.